أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody to today's class. Jazakumullah for arriving early and on time. In today's class, we're going to focus on a new rule. We're going to learn a new rule, which is rule of Ra, and we're going to only focus on the Dhamma and Fatha stroke. We are also going to practice chapter 110, Surah An-Nasr, which means the help. And we're going to do all of this throughout our lesson today. So before we start with our lesson, I'm going to remind you about a few etiquettes of classroom. So please ensure that you're all in wudu. Your head should be covered. Your video cameras should be turned off. Please do not raise your hands unless you are asked by a teacher. Please check that you have logged in with your correct ID. Only correct IDs will be called to mic, and make sure that you are sitting in a quiet place where you can hear, and always listen to everything that's going on in the class, whether you are on mic or not. A parent or elder should ideally sitting with you. So we're going to start our today's class with the opening prayer. So support teacher, can I have a student, please?
Yes, student N8406 has the mic.
NA406, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So can you please recite this opening prayer for me, please? And start with your Tawz and Tasmiyah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Well done. Let's just one more time. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Jazakumullah. And can you read the translation for me as well, please?
Lord, expand my mind and make my task easy for me.
Jazakumullah. Very well read. Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz. So, Allah Hafiz. All right. So we're going to start our today's class. But before we do that, last week you were reminded about a few rules that you have already learned in your G1 classes, and you did practice of 4 chapters, Surah An-Nasr, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Lahab, and Surah Al-Ikhlas, and you tried and practiced the chapters following all the rules that you have learned. So in the first part of our today's lesson, we're going to practice the same chapters a few more times, just to make sure and just to see how well you are going on getting along with the rules, and how well you're able to incorporate them when you're reciting the chapters or when you're reciting the Holy Quran. So we're going to practice the same 4 chapters few times. So I'm going to call a student on mic, and what we're going to do is I'm going to ask them to read a surah, and they're going to read it, and at the end, while they're done with their recitation, I'm going to give them feedback about their recitation. And everybody at home, please try and focus on what mistakes they're making, or what should be done, what could be done to improve their recitation, or what could be done to improve your own recitation, and try and incorporate as many rules as you remember from last week. So last week you did a few rules, such as the Hunna rule, the majestic Lam rule, Kalkala rule, and the Idgham rule. So try and incorporate them when you are practicing the recitation of the chapters. So we're going to start with the recitations now. Support teacher, can I have a student, please?
Yes, Tifl A7396 is on the mic.
So Tifl A7396, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So I would like you to recite this chapter, Surah Nas, for me, please. And while you're reciting it, try and remember as many rules as you can, the ones that you've already learned, and try and incorporate them and put them into your recitation.
Okay.
All right. So please start with your 1,000 tasmiyah, and I will not interrupt you while you're reciting. And at the end of your recitation, I'll give you my feedback. Okay. So just start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
All right, your recitation was pretty good. Just to remind you again about the few rules. So when you were practicing this chapter or Surah Nas last week, you were taught about the Gunna rule. As you can see throughout the chapter, there are a lot of gunnas. You can see Nun Mushaddad a lot of times. So remember, when you are pronouncing the gunna sound, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds, and you have done that in majority of the places. You just forgot at the first Nun Mushaddad. Other than that, over here we can see that alif is a madda letter. And again, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds for madda letters. Again, over here, you forgot to prolong the gunna sound for 2 seconds. Over here, what you did was that you read a wrong stroke. So instead of reading yuwasvisu, you made the sound of a fatha stroke, yuwaswasu. So try and focus on the strokes. Try in reading the correct strokes. I know it just could be because you're nervous or something, but that was just one time. So yeah, that was one of your mistakes. Over here again, yeah, with the sukoon, ya sakin, and before that there's a kasra stroke. So again, ya sakin is a madda letter. So again, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. This is something that you forgot to do. And again, in the last line over here, again, the gunna sound, you were supposed to prolong it for 2 seconds. Other than that, your recitation overall was quite good. So, mashallah, very well read.
Thank you.
Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz. All right, so support teacher, can I have another student, please?
Yes, if you just bear with me for a second.
Fine.
Okay. If I could just make an announcement that students, please, if you could refrain, which means please try not to raise your hands unless it's something really, really important. Okay, so if Nasra N8406, who actually did the dua, if she could raise her hand, we'll call her back to the mic. Nasra N8406, here we are. Okay, she has the mic.
All right, N8406, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. All right, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. All right, so I would like you to recite this chapter over here, Surah Al-Ikhlas. And while you're reciting, please keep in mind all the rules that you've learned so far and try to put them in your recitation as much as you can. So please start with your 1,000 tasmiyah and start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ
That's okay. Start one more time.
قل والله
Huwal,
أحد
huwal,
هو الأحد
huwallahu,
هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
All right, Jazakumullah. Just to point out a few things, when you were practicing this chapter last week, you were taught about a new rule, which is majestic lam. The rule for majestic lam is that whenever lam mushaddad is present, and before that there is a fatha stroke or a dhamma stroke, or fathatan or dhammatan is present, you produce a thick and heavy sound for that lam mushaddad. That is when lam mushaddad is present in between in the Allah word, and there is a fatha or dhamma or fathatan or dhammatan present before it, you produce a thick and heavy sound. So when you were reading this word over here, Qul huwallahu, the lam sound over here is supposed to be thick and heavy. As you can see, this is lam mushaddad, and before that there is a fatha stroke. So this is a majestic lam, and you're supposed to keep the sound thick and heavy. Along with that, you have revised the qalqala rules, and you know that there are 5 qalqala letters, and when you are reading or when you're pronouncing those letters, you produce a jerk sound, which is qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So over here we have letter dal, and when we are pausing over here, so we ignore the dhammatan and we take it as if there's sukoon present. And when we have dal with the sukoon, we know that it is a qalqala letter, so we're supposed to produce a jerking sound, a had. Again, similarly over here, majestic lam, fatha is present before lam mushaddad. So again, we're supposed to keep the sound thick and heavy. Again, over here, when you were pausing, you were supposed to make a jerking sound. Again, dal is a qalqala letter, and when you have qalqala letters present, you make a jerk sound. Again, the same rule over here. Again, dal with the sukoon, qalqala letter, you're supposed to produce a jerking sound. Over here, this is waw sakin. You did not prolong the sound for 2 seconds. This is a madda letter. When we have waw sakin present and there is a dhamma stroke present before it, we know that it is a madda letter, and the rule says that we are supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Yulad, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But just remember, again, whenever you are taking a pause and you know that there is a qalqala letter present at the end, you've already been taught about it, so try and revise those previous rules that you've been taught as much as possible so you get more fluent with it. Sorry?
Should I try it again?
Yes.
All right, that's fine. All right, so you can start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد. Oh, sorry. قل هو الله أحد. والله أحد. الله الصمد. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
All right. Very nice recitation. A lot better than the first time. You did try and follow all the rules this time. Just remember, the more you practice, more better you'll get with it, more fluent you'll get with it. Just remember the rules that Majestic Lam, you're supposed to keep the sound thick, and you did the Kalkala rule pretty well this time. Again, remember the mother letters, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. And over here, we have vertical Dhamma. You're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds for this as well. Other than that, pretty good recitation. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next
Jazakallah,
time,
thank you for
Allah
your
Hafiz.
advice.
No problem. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
All right, so support teacher, can I have another student, please?
Yes, if I can ask Tifl A7379 to raise his hand. There we are. A7379 now has the mic.
A7379, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. All right, so I would like you to recite this chapter for me, please. And just remember all the rules that you've learned so far. Try and incorporate them into your recitation as much as possible. And start with your thousand tasmiyah, and just start whenever you're ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
All right, very nice recitation, mashallah. Just to point out a few things that you did follow the Kalkara rule pretty well. Just to remind you that you've been taught about a few thick and heavy letters already. You were taught about them in your previous G1 classes, and you've been taught about them last week as well. So just to remind you that the letter Qaf over here is one of the thick and heavy letters. So when you are reading letter Qaf, just keep the sound thick and heavy. Waqab, uqad. And over here, when you were joining or when you were assimilating letter Ra with the letter Noon, as we can see that there is Noon Mushaddad present. So we're supposed to keep the Gunna rule in mind. So when you are joining the two letters, you are supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Sharin. And then over here, as you can see that the next letter is Fa, but it also has a tashdid on top of it. So it is also a mushaddad letter. So you're supposed to keep, you're supposed to emphasize or press down on the sound for letter Fa. Nafa. And then it also has a vertical fatha, so you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. So there are 2-3 rules together, one after the other. So you just need to keep all of them in mind. So when you're joining Ra with Noon, Mushaddad, you're supposed to produce the Gunna sound for 2 seconds. Sharin. And then you're joining Noon with Fa Mushaddad. Nafa. And then because there is a vertical fatha on top of it, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Nafasati. And then again over here, letter Qaf is a thick letter. So keep in mind how you're supposed to produce a thick and heavy sound. Uqad. Other than that, your recitation was pretty good, mashallah. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. So, support teacher, can I have another student, please?
Yes, if Nasra N8401 raises her hand, please. N8401, yes. She now has the mic.
N8401. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. All right, so again, we're going to practice this chapter that you've already done last week. And remember that when you were practicing this chapter, you did look at the rules of kalkala and then idgham in akis. So just try and keep those rules in your mind. And please recite the surah for me and start whenever you're ready.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد.
Mashallah, very well read. Just to point out a few things, that over here when you were taking a pause, maybe because you ran out of breath, it's because of that, but you were supposed to produce a jerking sound when you were taking a pause. Wama kasab. Over here, good. Over here you forgot, or you didn't really prolong the sound for the vertical fatha for 2 seconds over here. So remember, vertical fatha, 2 seconds.
Should I try it?
Yeah, sure.
سيصلى.
Good. Over here, when you were reading, you completely skipped alif with a fatha. Wamra'atu. Wamra'atu.
Should I read that ayat again?
All right. Have a go.
وامرأته حمالة الحطب.
Good. Just remember, mim mushaddad present over here. Remember the gunna sound. You're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds over here as well.
Okay.
And then the same rule over here. Mim masad, again, the hunna sound. You have to prolong the sound for 2 seconds over here. Other than that, your recitation was really good, mashallah.
Jazakallah.
So jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. All right. So this was a bit of practice from what you have learned last week, all the rules and all the chapters that you've been practicing in the past week. So we're going to move on to the second part of a lesson now. Last week, you were also reminded about the thick and heavy letters. So you know that there are total 29 Arabic letters, out of which 7 letters are thick and heavy. As you can see, those are highlighted in red. Kha, Swad, Dad, Da, Za, Ghain, and Qaf. These are 7 thick and heavy letters. Along with these letters, last week you were taught the rule of majestic lam, which is when there is lam mushaddad present and you have a fatha or a dhamma stroke before it, you produce a thick sound. So this was the rule that you were taught last week. Today, I'm going to introduce a new rule, which is the rule of ra. And this is the thickness of ra. So whenever there is letter ra present and there is a fatha stroke, or there is a dhamma stroke before it, or there is a vertical fatha, vertical dhamma, or fathatain or dhammatain, any stroke which is related to fatha or dhamma, when it is present before letter ra, is supposed to produce a thick and heavy sound. So we're going to practice this rule for a few minutes in this exercise. So over here, as we can see, that letter ra has a dhamma stroke. So we're going to produce a thick sound. Again, over here we can see the letter ra has a fatha stroke before it. So we're going to produce a thick sound. So we're going to do the practice, and I'm going to call a student on mic so I can practice the exercise with them for a bit. So support teacher, can I have a student, please?
Yes. N8382 now has the mic.
N8382. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So I'm going to point out a few words, and I would like you to try and reading them. Just remember, whenever you have a letter Ra and there is a fatha or dhamma stroke, or any stroke related to fatha or dhamma, that is vertical fatha or vertical dhamma, fathatain or dhammatain, you're supposed to keep the sound for letter Ra thick and heavy. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the first word over here. So as we can see, the letter Ra has a fatha before it, even though the letter Ya has a sukoon, the one before it has a fatha. So we're going to keep the sound thick. Khayru.
Khayru.
Over here, we have letter Ra, Ra mushaddad, and before that we have Mim with the fatha. Marru.
Maru.
Marru.
Maru.
Good. Over here, we can see the letter Ra has a fatha stroke, so we're going to keep the sound thick. Rabbana.
Rabbana.
Try and keep the sound thick and heavy. Rabbana.
Rabbana.
So whenever you're pronouncing the thick and heavy letters, your mouth is in a round shape. So when you're pronouncing the thin letters, your mouth is in a smiling shape. But when you're pronouncing the thick letters, your mouth is supposed to be in a round shape. Rabbana.
Rabbana.
Try it one more time. Rabbana.
Rabbana.
All right, let's do the next one. Again, a dhamma stroke is present on top of Ra. Rubama.
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 All right. Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz. So, support teacher, can I have another student, please?
Yes, if the full A7377 raises his hand. So just bear with me. He now has the mic. A7377.
A7377, Assalamu alaikum. A7377, are you there?
Okay, we can come back to him. He's having difficulties. Sweetheart, at your end, there's some problem with your mic. If you can take care of it on your computer, and we'll try and call you back. Okay, so if the full A7398 raises his hand. Okay, here we are. The full A7398 now has the mic.
A7398, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. All right, so we're going to continue with the exercise. So remember, whenever there's letter Ra and there is a fatha or dhamma stroke, before it we keep the sound thick and heavy. So over here for this word, we have letter Ra, Ra mushaddad, and before that we have a fatha stroke, so we're going to keep the sound thick. Ar-Rahmanu.
Ar-Rahmanu.
Well done. Over here we have letter Ra mushaddad, but before that there's a dhamma stroke, so again keeping the sound thick. Al-Hurru.
Al-Hurru.
Well done. Over here we have letter Kha, which is itself a thick letter, followed by Ra sakin, but there is a fatha stroke before that. Khardal.
Khardal.
Good. Over here we can see that there is letter Ra with a fatha, and before that there is lam with a fatha as well. So when we're going to read it, we're going to keep the sound for letter Ra thick and heavy. Qala rabbir.
قال ربي
Remember, keeping the sound thick for letter Ra. Rabbi.
ربي
Qala rabbi.
قال ربي
Rabbi.
ربي.
Good. And now we're going to join with the next one. And over here again we have letter Ra with a sukoon. But before that,
Can I
yeah,
just
actually,
interrupt?
let's just, yeah,
Assalamu alaikum. If I can just interrupt. If you cannot do that particular rule today.
Yeah, I was just going to
Okay.
move on. Yeah, sorry. All right, so let's just move on to the next one over here. So again, we have letter Ra with a fatha. So we're going to keep the sound thick and heavy. Rafa'a,
رفع
rafa'a.
رفع
Well done. Again, over here in this word, we have Ra with a Dhamma stroke, and before that we have Mim with Dhamma stroke as well. Ya'muru.
يأمر.
Good. Over here, we can see that we have Ra mushaddad, and before that we have Alif with a fatha. So we're going to, when we join it, we're going to keep the sound thick for letter Ra. Ar-ra'su.
الرأس
Good, well done. Over here again, Ra sakin, and before that Waw with a fatha. Warham.
وارحم.
Well done. Let's just do one more example and then move on. So over here we have Ra mushaddad with fathatan, and before that we have Ba with a fatha stroke. So we're going to keep the sound thick and heavy for this as well. Barron.
برا
Barron.
برا.
Good. Over here again, Ra with a fatha, and before that Alif with a fatha stroke. Araghibun.
أراغب
Araghibun.
أراغب.
Well done. So and let's just do this last example over here, and we have letter Ra with a fatha stroke. So Rabbuka.
ربك
Rabbuka.
ربك.
Well done. Jazakumullah for your help and participation, and until next time, Allah Hafiz.
جزاك الله. الله حافظ.
Allah Hafiz. All right, so this is a new rule that I've just taught you, which is the thickness of Ra rule. So whenever you have letter Ra and there is a fatha or a dhamma present before it, we keep the sound for the letter Ra thick and heavy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice a new chapter today, which is chapter 110, Surah An-Nasr. So we're going to start practicing the surah, and while we do that, we are going to keep in mind all the rules that we have learned so far. So the rules that you did learn last week, and the new rule, the thickness of Ra rule. So we're going to keep all the rules in mind, and we'll try and incorporate all of them while we're reciting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to recite the chapter or the surah once, and then I'll call the students on mic and we'll try and practice the chapter as many times as possible. So I'm going to try and recite the surah once, and please listen to it carefully and try and see what rules I follow and how I do it. Focus on the timing, focus on the pronunciation of the letters and the words, and keep in mind all the rules. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. So I recited the surah once. Now I'm going to call the students on mic and we're going to try and practice all the rules. Before that, I'm just going to highlight the new rule that we have just learned, just the thickness of raw rule throughout the chapter. So just because this is a new rule and you can keep in mind, and try and keep in mind all the other rules that we've learned previously as well. So as you can see over here, we have letter ra with a dhamma stroke. So this ra is going to be a thick and heavy ra, and along with that, this one over here, we have ra with a fatha, and before that there is wa with a fatha. So again, a thick and heavy ra over here. Again, another letter ra with a fatha stroke. So we're going to keep this one thick. Yeah, so these are a few of the letter ra's that you're supposed to keep in mind when you are reciting the surah. So, sport teacher, can I have a student, please?
Yes, we're going to try the full A7377. And just to remind you that in the tasmiyah, there are thick and heavy ra's as well.
Sorry, I forgot that. So there are two letter ra's with ram shadda letters with fatha stroke as well. So we're going to keep these thick and heavy as well.
A7377, we're trying him again.
A7377, Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
No.
Okay, A7377, there is a problem with your mic on your computer. You will need to have it seen to, otherwise we won't be able to listen to you, sweetheart. Okay? So we will now try the full A7365. If he could possibly raise his hand. Here we are. A7365 has the mic.
A7365, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Alhamdulillah, that's good. So I would like you to recite this chapter now. Just keep in mind all the rules that you've learned so far and the new rule, the thickness of raw rule that we have learned, and try and incorporate as many of them as you can in your recitation. So please start with your thousand tasmiyah and start whenever you're ready.
Bismillah.
Start with your toes, please.
Okay.
Auzubillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمدك ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا.
All right. Jazakumullah. I just want to remind you about the few rules that you have learned. So when you're reciting, just keep in mind the timing for each stroke and all the strokes. So over here, when you were reciting, remember alif is a mother letter, so you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Over here, we have the extra long stretch. So we're supposed to prolong the sound for 4 to 5 seconds. Letter ra is again a thick and heavy letter, so try and keep the sound thick and heavy for it. Over here, we have a vertical fatha stroke. So again, the timing for that is 2 seconds. Try and keep that in mind. Over here we have noon mushaddad. So remember that you have done the ghunna rule previously. So whenever you have noon mushaddad, you're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. And again, everywhere throughout the chapter, remember whenever you have madda letters, which is waw sakin, ya sakin, or alif, just prolong the sound for 2 seconds. And for vertical fatha, vertical dhamma, vertical kasra as well, prolong the sound for 2 seconds. For the ghunna letters, Mim mushaddad or Noon mushaddad, prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Don't forget that letter Ra is a thick and heavy letter. It's supposed to produce a thick and heavy sound. All right, so just try and incorporate all the rules that you've learned from G1 classes and that you're learning now as well, the ones that you did learn last week, and try and put them into your recitation as much as you can. Try and practice it as much as you can at home. So the more you practice, more fluent you'll get. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation, and until next time, Allah Hafiz. So support teacher, can I have another student please?
Yes, and just before we do that, if I can just announce that there are quite a lot of students in the class who are incorrectly signed in. There's a Galaxy S9, Galaxy S6 Edge, as well as some personal names. Although you're in the class, we can't call you to the mic, which is a real shame. You'll have a correct ID somewhere. Please try and log in with your correct ID. If you're having difficulties finding your ID, or if you don't know how to change your ID, email us, we will help. If you're in the class, then you want to learn and we want to teach. And it's a real shame that you've come to the class and we're not able to call you to the mic. Okay, I will now call Nasra N8403 to the mic.
And
8403.
N8403, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So we're going to practice the same chapter now. Keep in mind all the rules that we have learned and the new rules, thickness of Ra rule. And please start with your thousand tasmiyah. Start whenever you're ready.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Iza jaa an-nasrullahi wal fath ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان
Tawaba.
توابا.
All right, Jazakumullah. Just to point out a few things. Remember, letter Ra with a fatha stroke or the must stroke is supposed to be a thick and heavy letter. I know you've just learned it, so try and remember it as much as you can. So whenever you're reading letter Ra with a fatha or the must stroke, keep the sound thick and heavy. Again, try and remember the timings of the strokes. So whenever you have vertical fatha, vertical kasra, vertical dhamma, prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Again, over here, when you have noon mushaddad, you have to follow the hunna rule and prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Dal with the sukoon is a kalkala letter. So remember when you're reading it, it's supposed to produce a jerking sound. Yad uluna. And letter Kha is also a thick and heavy letter. So we're supposed to keep the sound thick for letter Kha as well. Yadkhuluna. And again over here, alif over here, when we are taking a pause, we take it as if there is only one fatha present on top of letter Jim, and then followed by an alif. This makes alif a madda letter, and we're going to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Over here, you read fatha instead of kasra, so try and keep in mind the sound of the strokes. And again, vertical dhamma, 2 seconds. And over here, over here, when you were taking a pause, remember whenever we are pausing, we ignore the stroke on top of the letter and we take it as if there is a sukoon present. So when you were pausing, instead of reading it as wastaghfirhu, you're supposed to read it as wastaghfir. You were supposed to produce the ha sound, but instead of producing the hu sound, because there's a dhamma, we ignore the dhamma and we take it as if there is a sukun present. So we're just going to produce the ha sound, but we're not going to produce ha, hu, or he sound, because we completely ignore the stroke. Wastaghfir. And then again over here, because we were taking a pause, so we would have ignored the fathatain, and we would have taken just one fatha stroke and read it as the mother letter, tawaba. So these are the few rules that you have learned in G1 classes and that you are revising now as well. So try and keep them in your mind and try and put them in your recitation as much as possible. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation, and until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Right, so support teacher, can I have another student please?
Yes, I'm just going to locate a tifl A7386.
So A7386.
Okay. A73, 1 second. If tifl A7386 could possibly raise his hand. Yeah. Okay, he now has the mic.
A7386, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah, that's good. So we're going to do the same chapter again. Just try and follow and incorporate as many rules as you can in your recitation. Start with your 1000 tasmiyah and start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء النصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا.
Well done. Really nice recitation. Just to point out a few things, remember letter Ra is a thick and heavy letter. So whenever we have a fatha or a dhamma stroke on top of Ra or before it, we keep the sound thick and heavy. So Nasrullahi, and over here we're going to simulate the two letters. We're going to join the two letters because there is lam mushaddad present. So we're going to drop the two empty letters in between. We've done this rule before in G1 classes. So we're going to join letter Ra with a dhamma to lam mushaddad. Nasrullahi. Instead of reading Nasru and Allahi, we're going to join the two words Nasrullahi.
Nasrullahi.
Yes, and you have done the rule that whenever there's lam mushaddad present and there is a fatha or dhamma, this makes it a majestic lam, and you supposed to keep the sound thick and heavy for majestic lam as well as Ra with the fatha or dhamma stroke. Nasrullahi.
Nasrullahi.
Good. And when you are taking the pause, make sure that when you are pausing, you're not producing any fatha, dhamma or kasra sound. Wal fath.
Wal fath.
Good. Again, letter Ra, a thick letter. Wara'aytan.
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 Good. Over here, letter Dal with the sukoon is a kalkala letter. So we know when we have kalkala letters, we produce a jerking sound. Yadkhuluna.
Yadkhuluna.
Good. Again, over here, we're going to join Dinillahi. We're joining noon with a kasra stroke to lam mushaddad. Dinillahi.
Dinillahi.
Good. And over here, when we're pausing, we will ignore the dhamma stroke. We'll take it as if there's sukoon present, but we do make sure that we do produce ha sound at the end. Wastaghfir.
Wastaghfir.
Good. Other than that, your recitation was pretty good. Well done. Just keep all the rules in mind and try and practice it as many times as possible. And you'll get fluent with it, inshallah. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz. All right. So sport teacher, can I have another student, please?
Yes, if I can ask Tifl A7388 to raise his hand. Here we are. He now has the mic. A7388.
A7388, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Alhamdulillah, that's good. So again, we're going to do the same chapter. Try and incorporate as many rules as you can in your recitation.
Okay.
Please start with your thousands tasmiyah and start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا.
All right. Jazakumullah. Just to point out a few things, remember the timings of the strokes. So over here we have the extra long stretch. Remember the timing for it is 4 to 5 seconds. So please try and prolong the sound for 4 to 5 seconds. Again, ra is a thick and heavy letters. Just to remind all of you that we have ra mushaddad, 2 ra mushaddad with fatha stroke in at tasmiyah as well. So whenever you're reading it, try and keep the sound for Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim thick and heavy as well. These 2 letter ra's carry a fatha stroke, so the sound is supposed to be thick and heavy. Over here, you've got that Nun Mushaddad is there, and we follow the Ghunna rule, so we prolong the sound for 2 seconds. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ. Over here, there is alif, and before that there is letter waw with the fatha stroke. So this is the madda letter. Alif is a madda letter. So we again prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Again, the same rule over here. Alif is a madda letter. We prolong the sound for 2 seconds. And whenever we have vertical fatha, kasra or dhamma stroke, we prolong the sound for 2 seconds again. So try and keep in mind the timing of each stroke.
Okay.
And try and practice that more. So the more you practice, more you'll get used to it. So other than that, your recitation was really nice. Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. So support teacher, can I have one more student, please?
Yes, I'd like to call a student that actually recited in the Ra exercise to call them to recite Quran, and that's Nasra N8382.
N8382, Assalamu alaikum.
Can she possibly raise her hand? Nasra N8382, here we are. Okay, she has the mic.
N8382, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah for asking. So let's do the chapter one more time and keep in mind all the rules. Please start with, and also keep in mind the timing of the strokes. So please start with your thousand tasmiyah and start whenever you're ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
Okay, Jazakumullah. Just to point out a few things. Again, remember the timings of all the strokes as well as all the rules. So over here, alif madda, remember 2 seconds. Over here, on top of Jim, on top of alif, there is an extra long stretch. So we prolong the sound for 4 to 5 seconds. Remember, letter ra with the fatha or dhamma is a thick ra. So we're supposed to keep the sound thick and heavy. Over here we have Noon Mushaddad and we follow the Ghunna rule. So whenever we have a Ghunna rule with Mim Mushaddad or Noon Mushaddad, we prolong the sound, the Noon sound, for 2 seconds. Over here again, over here as well as here, we have the same Alif Madda rule. So we're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. Over here again, letter Ra, thick letter, try and keep the sound thick. Whenever we're pausing at the end of the word, we are supposed to produce the sound of the letter. We're just going to ignore the stroke on top of it. Wastaghfir. And then again, tawaba, because over here we have madda letter again. So we're supposed to prolong the sound for 2 seconds. So just try and keep in mind the timings of all the strokes as well as all the rules. And try and practice it as much as you can. So inshallah, you'll get used to it and you'll be able to read it more fluently. So Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. So this was our today's lesson. So today we did learn a new rule, which is the rule of Ra. So I'm going to set homework for today. So for today, what you're going to do is you're going to practice the same chapter, which is chapter 110, Surah An-Nasr, and you please try and focus on the rules of Ra with Dhamma and Fatha strokes only. So remember, whenever you have letter Ra and there is a Fatha and a Dhamma stroke on top of it, try and keep the sound for letter Ra thick and heavy. So the lesson reference you can get is 25.3 and you can find it on page 111. Remember, the timing for all the strokes is very important and the pronunciation is extremely important. So keep that in mind, keep all the rules that you've learned so far in mind, and try and practice your recitation as much as you can. So now we're going to end our lesson with the ending prayer. So, support teacher, can I have a student, please?
Yes. Can we have the Tifl who recited in the Ra exercise? Tifl A7398. Raise his hand, please. He now has the mic.
A7398. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm good.
Alhamdulillah. So can you please recite the ending prayer for me, please, and start with your Ta'awuz and Tasmiyah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لي إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة.
MashaAllah, very well read. Jazakumullah. Can you read the translation for me as well, please?
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran and make it for me the leader, the light, the guidance and the mercy.
MashaAllah, very well read. Jazakumullah for your help and participation. And until next time, Allah Hafiz. So, Jazakumullah everyone for attending today's class. I hope that you did learn something new. Try and practice all these chapters as much as you can, and try and keep in mind all the rules that you have learned in Jeevan classes, and those that you have been learning for past week in this new course. Try and incorporate and put them in your recitation as much as you can, and inshallah you'll get fluent with it. So Jazakumullah for attending today's class, and we'll see you all tomorrow inshallah. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.